Is our lack of belonging one of the reasons we're so unhappy? And what can we do about it? I'm Kathy Garner, the relationship artist, and I think this link between love and belonging and happiness is really important. How is it that we can feel so alone when we're virtually connected to hundreds, if not thousands, of people across the globe? Our interconnected worlds can be a huge force for good, but according to the Office for National Statistics in the UK, people spend up to 35% of their leisure time on devices rather than talking to members of their family. And this isn't helping us feel that greater sense of love and belonging in our everyday lives. According to numerous studies, technology is adding to chronic unhappiness in our generation. So what can we do about it? This is the time of the year when we can turn this all around. We can choose to spend less time on social media and more time with those we really want to share our lives with. But how? I don't think most people even ask the question, what is belonging? And for me, it wasn't until I began seriously studying relationships that I realised our primitive brain is hardwired for love and belonging. We need it like we need air, like we need water. Relationships are so crucial to our well-being that we have this sense of unhappiness, and that's a kind of bad feeling, but for a good reason. Maybe it's a wake-up call so that we can do something about it. What do? Well, I believe it starts with our desire to create long-term lasting relationships. Belonging isn't something we can swipe left or swipe right for. It's something that we need to do long-term. So the quality of those long-term relationships creates happiness, and that happiness is long-lasting. I mean, we all know that when people win the lottery within 2 years, according to research, they fall back to their default level of happiness. But when we create great relationships, that happiness lasts long-term. Now, I've turned the word relationship into a mnemonic so that we can understand what the research says about creating a sense of belonging. So I'll talk about the first two. The R is for responsiveness. Our limbic system in our brain needs response to know that we're safe. Professor John Gottman, the world's leading relationship scientist, says that happy couples respond positively to each other 100 times a day. What does that look like? Well, it's a smile as you wake up, a cup of tea, a thank you, a kiss, times those 5 little interactions by 20, and you have what I call the happy 100. And that's what keeps relationships strong and gives people a sense of trust, which is such an important ingredient in belonging. Well, take yourself back thousands of years. Take yourself back to the savannah. You can hear a pack of prairie dogs howling in the distance. You've got no defence in the wild except for other people. If you're on your own, you're fresh meat for predators. So you've got to know that someone's there, someone's got your back. That's why we need responsiveness. And it's the first most fundamental plank of friendship and belonging. Our brains are still the same. Now, technology may give us that buzz, immediate sense of kind of flurry of hearts and likes and claps whenever we post something. And that's like a drug. We get the dopamine fix and we're back in there for more. But this can backfire on us in our relationships. If we're constantly on our phones, we can even innocently fail to respond to the real people around us who are crying out for connection. We may say, oh, I'm too busy right now. Don't disturb me. Or it might just be silence. We can't hear people reaching out for us, calling our name even, because we're so locked into what we're doing. And times that by 5 or 6 years and you've got a broken relationship. So responsiveness is crucial to belonging, but it's more than that. Let's talk about a common misconception. Perhaps it causes more misery than anything else. In our search for love and connection, we confuse belonging with fitting in and conforming, and there is a huge difference. Belonging is about knowing ourselves, accepting ourselves and others just the way they are. Conforming is about changing ourselves because we're not acceptable as we are. Now, I'm not talking about compromise. Compromise is something we need if we want to achieve shared goals. But when it comes to feeling that sense of belonging, we must be able to be who we are. So how do we do that? Well, let's talk about the E of relationship. It's empathy. Stepping into someone else's world, seeing through their eyes, standing in their shoes. They may be cliches, but they're so helpful because we can use them to psychically shift from an unconscious lack of awareness and lack of empathy to a conscious sense of we're standing in someone else's world, hearing what they're saying and doing our best to feel what they must be feeling. And empathy is this suspension of our own thoughts, feelings, judgments, experiences, so that we can momentarily take on someone else's. And then we share that kind of emotional synchronicity, and that creates such a bond. It helps us to overcome conflict, to really understand each other, know when we need to create space for each other and when we can snuggle in close. Now, when we lack empathy, we may be surrounded by pain. Maybe we don't even see it because we don't have the empathy to feel what other people are feeling until it's too late and we've lost the people who are really important to us. When we try to numb, when we try to push back those feelings of pain, then actually the neurocircuitry kicks in and we feel more pain. We're actually feeling that pain of disconnection in the oldest part of our brain. So it takes a whole lot of relationship skills to build the bonds of love, connection and belonging. But it's very doable. There are tools that we can learn. Tools like how to respond better, tools like how to empathize better, and a whole raft of others that fit into creating wonderful relationships. So I hope that's been useful, interesting, helpful, and ask me more questions. Let me know what it is you want to know about love, about relationships, about belonging, because this stuff's important. It changes our lives.